came a bit earlier than we were ready. I want to thank the ambassador, the High Commissioner, for again, like Florence stated, the information flow was not very accurate and did not follow probably the laid down procedure that should have been done. And so some people, like she stated, were asking questions, is it legit or not? Actually, when I was in Kampala, quite a number of people were sending me WhatsApp from here asking, is it true, are you going to be there? And I had to say yes, but this is a learning process. We're going to be coordinating much more in a better way than what has been done in this particular aspect. I have come with a technical team that will make a presentation basically to probably on my side. My major issue was, number one, I am talking to intellectuals, those who probably some of you are in the field of law, in the field of property management, in the field of investments, and core to any investment is land. So to me, it is how do we work together for you to contribute your knowledge into making this sector vibrant, but most importantly, this sector to address your special needs as people who do not live in Uganda. Because again, I know most of you, many a time, will want to invest back at home. And the investment, whether you're talking about what kind of investment, will be on land. So I thought it is important for you to give an opportunity that you will give your views on how do you want us to handle specific needs that affect you as people in the diaspora. That was my first thinking when Florence came to my office and sold the idea, and I told her, no, we are going to be at the World Bank meeting. We can spare one day and talk about this matter. Of course, in Uganda, FDI, foreign direct investments, if we disaggregate the data as a country, the diaspora is top on the agenda in respect to transfer of investment opportunities back home. And it is something recognized in Uganda as and every time a budget is read, that is one of the key issues. What is the FDA contribution of the people in the diaspora? Therefore, as Uganda, we must invest in you. And I welcome your proposal that we must be in your meeting in, is it September? In Miami. We welcome that idea, and the PS will organize that. I also really maybe want to highlight, you know, the tenure system in Uganda. We have the 4 tenure system. We have the freehold. Probably most of you have freehold tenure system, where you have your land, and if you want to convert from a Milo or a customary land, or you've bought land, you can register it as a freehold title. Then we have the Milo title. Maybe some of you are here, but you have Milo. You are a beneficiary of a Milo of your grandfather or your parents, and therefore that Milo system, how is it being governed, is also what I want to touch a little bit. We also have customary land ownership. How are we trying to look at transforming it, making it more productive, but facilitating those who have customary land holding to also convert it to the freehold or to even a customary land certificate. Then we have the leases, which is majorly given by Buganda Land Board under the Milo, which I'll come back to, but also given by Uganda Land Commission. So let me start by Milo. Now, the regime, the legal regime at the moment, which is derived under 1995 Constitution, which defines Milo 237, and under the Land Act, gives the Ministry of Lands, Housing and Urban Development the legal framework to regulate the activities of Buganda Land Board in as far as ensuring that they manage Milo land that is under them. Because again, Milo land, there are two types. There is Milo land, which is the Kabaka's Milo land, and then there is the private Milo land. Now with the private Milo land, we have created a registry for the private Milo land. And we are now encouraging those who hold what we call a blue page, the certificate of ownership of that Milo, to try as much as possible to survey it, resurvey it, because most of them were the open boundaries, but they have not surveyed. And most of the fraud which is happening on Milo land is due to lack of surveying of that Milo land, the private Milo land, and knowing which is my actual boundaries for the Milo land. So we are trying now to encourage the people who own private Milo to survey the Milo land and then title it. But even that, where they have not yet surveyed, we have a land information system which is computerized, which my team is going to demonstrate to you, which we are now trying to anchor those with a blue page, the Milo blue page, into a computerized system. And once your title is computerized, there is no way, the system is structured in such a way that no new transaction can be done on top of any transaction that has already been entered in this National Land Information System. So the National Land Information System is the way to go. That's why we've been with the World Bank, because the support is coming from the World Bank and we want to complete it. And the long-term dream for us is that when it is completed, you can be able to sit wherever you are in the world and transact on your land on the internet. But that is what we are looking at. And so when they take you through it, you will. So I will want to request you, for those who are beneficiary of Milo land, to encourage the people back home to make sure that they survey their private Milo land, anchor it into the system. Then the Milo land that is managed by Buganda Land Board are those ones which are for Kabaka. And in that circumstance, what the law permits is that they lease it out. The terms of leasing out is discussed and agreed on by the Buganda Land Board and the tenants who want to be to benefit from the lease. And now what we do, we only give them some kind of a regulatory framework to Buganda Land Board. But the leasing and the person you sign a contract with is Buganda Land Board. But there's also the other issue where you cannot lease in respect to the categories defined under the Land Act. Those are the bona fide occupants or lawful occupants. Those protected under law that they settled on that Milo land before. And their settlement, the law clearly states that they cannot be evicted. And in that circumstance, where they are not able to lease, those are the category that the Uganda Land Board has started an initiative of giving them what they call certificate of occupancy, where they go, they survey the land for the bona fide occupants, and then they give them a certificate showing that this is the portion of your land and this is the certificate of occupants of you as a bona fide or lawful occupants. So that is how the Milo land is being handled as per now. We are also now thinking through as government, what do we do on a broader issue to protect especially the bona fide occupants on the Milo land, not to only have certificate of occupancy, but to have ownership. And we are, at the moment, we are looking at the land fund, which the land fund is created by the Constitution, which is being managed by the Uganda Land Commission, and it's supposed to purchase the titles from the landlords. And once we purchase the titles from the landlord, then we go and demarcate that land for the person, the bona fide occupants, and give them title. So that is another aspect. We have tried it. The pilot is, we have done it in Nakasongola so far, in Uganda. In Bunyoro, it has gone a little bit far. In Ankole, we have done it with the land that belongs to the prince. Now in Uganda, we have, the last time I counted, we had about 117 titles that had already been surrendered by the landlords, because the scenario now is a landlord will be having a title. Of course, you know, I don't want to go to the history of the 1900 agreement. The landlord has the title, the people are settled on the land, and he or she cannot utilize that land because the law protects the people settled on that land, and you cannot evict them. So production is locked. The landlord cannot do any other economic activity on the land. At the same time, also the bona fide occupant is also locked because doesn't have the ownership paper. So what we are trying to do now is that aspect of intervention. However, we are also seeing that the land fund alone might not address in totality all the acreage of the land that is covered under the 1900 agreement. So there are other issues that we are looking at. How do we facilitate the landlord and the tenants themselves, maybe to try and resolve the impasse, but also how do we facilitate the landlords and the tenants to negotiate. Some people have negotiated and resolved the matter. So that is the delicacy around how delicate it is on the aspect of Milo land and what we are trying to do. Then I don't know whether really there are people here who are interested in customary land.
Explain it to the people.
Okay.
They need to know.
Maybe the leases, if I'm to come a little bit on the Uganda Land Commission, Uganda Land Commission only manages government land. And so when it comes to leases for Buganda land, it is Uganda Land Board. When it comes to leases for government land, that is where it is by Uganda Land Commission. And so for the purpose of Uganda Land Commission, if you want a lease, or some of you may be a relative, had land before, or they had houses, there are very many houses around Tinda that are under Uganda Land Commission. So you have to apply to Uganda Land Commission, and then the lease is either renewed. If it is new land that is going to be distributed, you apply, and then you go through the process, and then land is leased to you. And most of the investors, it is because the law says a foreign investor is not allowed to own land through a freehold. They can only own land by leasing. So for you people also who might have foreigners who might want to invest in Uganda, if they want land from government, then they will go to government. We have land purchase. We have now 22 industrial areas around the country where land has been purchased, and it's usually leased by Uganda Land Commission after following the processes, obtaining from Uganda Investment Authority all the approvals, and then you are allocated that land. If you buy from an individual who is not government, still you have to lease it. The individual has to get a mother title, which is a freehold. And then from the freehold, the investor who is foreign will apply for a leasehold, and then Uganda Land Commission will approve, and later then we issue the title. So as anybody who is not a Ugandan will not be allowed to own a freehold title. It has to be a lease, whether you're getting it from government or you are getting it from an individual. Now, customary land, of course, this constitutes over 70% of land in Uganda, and land ownership in Uganda. Under the customary land ownership, it is supposed to be managed according to the norms and customs of that area. What is happening as of now, the law permits under Section 6 of the Land Act that you can convert a customary land into a freehold, or you can process what we call customary certificate of occupancy. Or, I can see our colleagues from, hello. No, I can allow them to settle and then I continue.
This way, this one. Here. Yes, it's not here. Find a chair.
Thank you very much. So I just started. Welcome, team from the Internal Affairs. So I was on customary ownership. With customary ownership, I had said you can convert. Now you can be allowed to convert to an individual freehold ownership. The second option is you can process what we call a CCO, which is a certificate of customary ownership, or you can process a title as a family or as a CLA. What we call a CLA is Communal Land Association, because the argument and the constitutional provision is that it must be managed according to the norms and customs of the area. So you go to some area and they will tell you, in this area we have communal land for grazing or for use for the communal use for maybe looking after our cows, our hunting and so on. So in that circumstance, we will give you what we call a communal land association certificate. That will only demarcate that area, whether it is a square miles or more than a square miles, you get a title, which is under communal land association. But if you're a family and your family wants to have a certificate which is having the names of all the families, we also have a provision for a family title. If you want it as individual, we also have that one. So in that context, now also we have a funding from the World Bank, because majority of the people who own customary land are unable to survey. Survey cost is very expensive. It's the first line of titling. You can't title without surveying. In Uganda, surveying can be about 1.5 million, 2 million, 700.
In land, more than 10 for a good amount of land in your ministry, surveying.
Now, unfortunately, my ministry doesn't survey. For us, we have privatized surveying. The ministry's work is only to get your deed print and to issue you what we call IS, instruction to survey. When you contract a private surveyor, then you come to the ministry, then the ministry will give that IS number for your surveyor to go and survey. So when they finish the surveying, they come back to the ministry department of survey and mapping. That is when we now enter the deed plan, do the cartography and all that. So in most cases, people confuse private surveyor as being people from the ministry. But no, each one is supposed to do their own surveying because we don't have the necessary human resource to survey for all the 34 million Ugandans. But what we are trying to do now is to regulate. We want to sit down and regulate the fees for surveyors. That is what we want. We have the Association of Surveyors, and we have requested them that we need to meet with them so that we can segment and say if it's 1 hectare, how much should it be for surveying 1 acre? How much should it be for surveying 10? So that at least we have some kind of regulated fees to facilitate people to survey their land for those who can afford. For those who cannot afford, we are having a project under the World Bank, which we are going to begin in areas which are predominantly customary, and we are going to start subsidizing. They will only pay fees for paperwork at the sub-county level, but the surveying will be done by the project under the World Bank, and then we are going to do for them registration. And this one we have already piloted in a few areas. It has worked, and we hope this will then address the overall issue of titling. So basically, we consider as a ministry that security of tenure can only be achieved when you have a paper for your land. You cannot sit and assume that you have 10 hectares of land when you don't have the paper showing it. And that's the encouragement I want to give the community, that whatever you do, if you think about investing back home or still going back at one point at home, you need land definitely. Please do not accept to have land without paper. Because land without paper, tomorrow you don't know what will happen. And I've seen so many circumstances where some people even have the land with sales agreement, and after they have died or something has happened to them, and then several people now come with different agreements and will, and you don't know what to do. So at least if you have your paper, I've seen most people with the paper, and they have put their beneficiaries in the title. It is much more easier for us to deal with the matter than when you don't have a paper. So I think that's the highlight I want to give, but I do not know whether I should wait for a question from the people on the amendment, or do you want me to comment on it now?
You also have technocrats.
Yes.
So how would you want it?
I
You
want the
answer the questions first, or
No. The technocrats will demonstrate,
Oh.
but there is the political issue of the current land amendment. Can I address that later after the technical presentation?
PS guides that you read now. PS guides that
You do it now, so that when they ask you.
Okay, let me address that now.
Shock the people now.
I like that. It says shock the people now. You know, this is a very This is a very interesting country, America, and I have a stake in it because my firstborn was born in Cleveland, Ohio. So maybe very soon I will join you also, or he will join you. He will join you to be on the neck of the mother. Now we are proposing as government an amendment to Article 26 of the Constitution. Article 26 of the Constitution. Article 26 of the Constitution talks about protection from deprivation of property. That is the heading of that article. Protection from deprivation of property. Article 1 says, every person has a right to own property, either individually or in association with others. 2, no person shall be compulsorily deprived of property or any interest in or right of property of any description except where the following conditions are satisfied. A, the taking of possession or acquisition is necessary for public use or in the interest of defense, public safety, public order, public morality, or public health. And B, the compulsory taking of possession or acquisition of property is made under a law which makes provisions for 1, prompt payment of fair and adequate compensation prior to the taking of possession or acquisition of property, and 2, a right of access to a court of law by any person who has an interest or right over the property. So that is the current provision, which means this current provision already talks about condition under which government can compulsorily acquire land. Now, after this before this constitution came into force, there was an existing law called the Land Acquisition Act of 1965. That Land Acquisition Act also spells how government can acquire land compulsorily and procedure under which government follows to acquire that land. Some of the procedures includes number 1, that the chief government valuer shall issue notification that, no, the minister issue notification that government requires this land. Let's say I want land in Bulisa for oil. I will then issue a gazette saying the land in this sub-county, in this village, are required for oil exploration, and it shall be compulsorily acquired by government. Once that declaration is made, then the chief government valuer goes to assess who are the people affected, what is the amount of land in that area, therefore coming up with how much should be paid. And when he comes up with how much he has determined to be paid, the law still goes ahead to say he will give a period of 14 days for anybody contesting the amount, anybody who wants to appeal the amount. Then after 14 days, if people don't appeal, well and good, then the money is assessed and paid to them. If there's an appeal, maybe from few people or all of them, then renegotiation continues until they come to an agreeable compensation rate. And that agreeable compensation rate is published. But suffice to note is also that the law says the district land board is responsible for determining compensation rate payable in respect to anything on land surface. So at a national level, we are only in charge. The chief government valuer values land and maybe things to do with the houses, anything which is permanent housing, but crops, trees, and all that is determined by the district. So the process of coming to what to be compensated is not only by the chief government value, it's by the district and the chief government value, and then it is paid. Now, this particular provision, we are not changing. We are not changing anything here. We are only introducing two clauses. The principle of the two clauses is to say where there is a contest on the value that has been evaluated by the chief government valuer, where there is disagreement between the chief government valuer's rate and the person who is supposed to be compensated, and all the avenue for negotiation has failed, then government shall deposit that amount of money. First option is to pay that person, but the person can go to court to contest the remaining value that he or she doesn't agree with. But if he rejects the money, then government will deposit it in court or any other competent authority. And the competent authority is supposed to be defined by Parliament. And therefore, the second clause is to say immediately the amount has been deposited in court, then government takes possession and works begin while determination of the contested value is being worked out. That is the proposal. So I leave it to you, and I can see that you are very happy with it.
It's our personal takeover.
So I thank you, and now I want to request the PS to request our technical people to just do a technical demonstration very quickly, then we can go back to the program. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Fellow Ugandans, because we are all Ugandans. Fellow Ugandans, we have to grow our country, so we have to do some of these things for the good of the people who live after us. Because for us, we are now in the, what do they call it? In the evening hours of the twilight. But we have other Ugandans who are coming after us. And since we are in the diaspora, some of the Ugandans who are coming after us are not even our color, they may be mixed, but they are Ugandans. So we have to, without being unfair to my colleague, of course the minister did not tell me to introduce him, but I have to introduce him. This is my brother, the PS of Ministry of Internal Affairs, Mr. Dr. Mutambi, who has joined us. And actually he told me he was here 2 days ago, so me, I was very confident when people were saying that we haven't seen him. I knew he was around. And the other gentleman, Nicholas Omodia is the commissioner?
Yes, for citizenship.
For citizenship. So they are here. And we are here to do good for our people, fellow Ugandans. Now, I want my technical people to organize themselves and show the extent, the progress we've made on land information system, so that the Ugandans here are, so that Ugandans here know what we are doing and how we are progressing, so that you are not flouted. The other day I was talking to some people, and I told them Ugandans who live in the diaspora are duped, and they are not duped by people who are unknown to you. They are duped by their own relatives. And they keep on taking photographs of other people's houses and showing you. So we want you to know where your land is, where they have put the house, and most probably we'll also go into the detail of showing the house which is there, whether residential or commercial. Please, Mr. Put, can you tell your people to do that, please?
Thank you. Thank you, P.S. Actually, we're not just going to demonstrate. Behind there, we have actually set up a service. It is an online service. You can search if you have got your information. You can get the status of your title today, now. Yes. Yeah. But just a background on this. We started working on the National Land Information System about 2010. We piloted in 6 zonal offices. We divided the country into 21 zones. And we started with Jinja, Mukono, Wakiso, Kampala, Masaka, and Mbarara. And then also the headquarters in Kampala, Minister headquarters, then Entebbe. And we set up a new center called the National Land Information Center, which is the information you're going to access from here today, from behind there. What we were able to achieve with this is that we were able to scan the records. Some of them were in a very bad state. In fact, we're trying to work on some of them. They're not completely through with the rehabilitation of some of them. But for all the records which we scanned and input in the system, we're able to link the maps plus the title so that you're able to view all of this together. Moving on quickly, we have now got a new project under the World Bank. By the way, my task team leader is there, Moses Chibirige. Since nobody is going to introduce him, I'll take an opportunity to introduce him. He's there. Moses Chibirige is the one in charge of the World Bank project, which we are carrying out all of these things. We are now going to move on to the rest of the others. We did 6, we are now moving on to 7, then later on 8. Among the 7, the next 7, we have already launched LIRA. The difference between this phase and the last one is that while in the previous phase we were using what is called proprietary software, belongs to some other company, in this phase we are using open source software. We will design and develop in-house and also maintain thereafter after contractors have left to maintain the software ourselves, and therefore there will be no need for us to pay for licenses and so on. The other added advantage which we have for the system which we have first installed in LIRA, the new one, is that we will be able to access this information through portals. So the public, all public worldwide, will be able to access through the public portal. There will be what is called a corporate portal. This corporate portal will be for specific institutions, financial institutions like banks, then institutions recognized for this access, maybe lawyers and surveyors, real estate agencies, and so on. But there will also be a staff portal. The other enhancement in this system is that we are able, at management level, to actually track the performance of individuals and also offices. We will be able to track transactions up to the point where they're being carried out, to the second where they're being handled, to the person who is handling. So we'll be able to know in terms of tracking, which has been a problem before. We'll be able to track your transaction right to the person who is doing that. And to enhance that as well, we will be able to give an SMS notification as well whenever a transaction is happening. So if you own land and a transaction is going to happen on your land, you should get a notification just to be sure that something is happening on your land. other thing which we did is that we are mapping the whole country. We are getting accurate maps for the whole country, but in digital format, so that we use this data to actually verify the data which had been captured before from the 1940s and so on, so that we clean it up as well. For all the for the whole country, we are doing it at 40 centimeter resolution. That's very high resolution, but for the urban areas, it will be at 15 centimeter resolution. This information will also be used for protecting areas like fragile environments, like wetlands and so on and so forth, so that nobody can anymore title on wetlands, which was a bit of a problem before, or roads and so on. We have also got information from UNRWA, the Roads Authority, from UWA for wildlife and so on. We've also got information from forestry for forests and so on. The idea is all of this information we have incorporated in the land information system, so that this land, when titled, you should not be able to get another title over it. I think that's what I can say for now. Yes, this is what I can say for now. Only to mention that you can actually, if you know the description of your land and you want to know its status, you can check it live now, right now, with the gentleman there who is in charge of the National Land Information Center, Mr. Kambogo William. Yeah, okay, no problem.
The minister was trying to say that even if you don't have land now, even if you don't have your details, you can go to them and they will demonstrate to you a parcel of land of somebody who we have information for, so that you can see that even when you're in the US, you can easily access your land. And as it says, any transaction which is going to go on your land, unless you authorize it, if anything is taking place, you will be able to know that somebody is tampering with your papers if you left them at home. And most people sometimes say, I'm holding the papers for you, especially your lawyers. They say we are holding the papers for you, and then they also go on. Anyway, that is not what I wanted to say, because they have already said it. But we have also brought information for you. I think we'll give it to the UNA, and we'll give a copy to this lady who made the arrangements. But we'll give you, we have 5 copies of the documents. We'll give them to you so that you familiarize yourselves with what is going on in the land. One of them is the Ugandan land policy, and then one of them is the implementation plan. So we'll give them, and then we'll give you, and we have it in soft copy also. Yes. We can send it to you if you give us your addresses, email addresses, so that you can.
Is it free?
We have brought free. We want you to know. When I was
I'll give them the web page.
we will give you in our web page so that you can access us. Actually, now we don't need what we call. We are on e-government, but we don't need what we call Kayugis. We are in direct order. Anybody can reach us. So we have these documents, and maybe, I don't know. We'll give you the soft copies of these documents. We can give you the hard copies for evidence. You know, in court you produce them. But we'll give you the soft copies so that you can be able to access us on our web. Now the chair is going to regulate the meeting, because we have another presentation which is going to come from my brother here. But let me hand over back to the chair.
PS Internal Affairs, and your team. You're most welcome. I see more colleagues from the embassy. Please stand up, the colleagues from the embassy. After these people have left, the question coming, they will be answered by, why are you hiding behind there? Step forward, step in the center so that, Grace, where are you? So we have Mr. Stephen Mwezi, we have Mr. Adam Kizito, and we have Grace Luemba Narunga, which is the other one? So, so these are my colleagues from the embassy. After the ministers and PSs have gone, we will be the ones to answer some of the questions. Where we will fail, we will refer to them. So at this hour, since we have two ministries, the Ministry of Lands has made its presentation. While the information is still fresh, I suggest at this hour, you ask your questions. Any questions? Yeah, the Hajat at the back there.
I had a question about the alert that you're missing. Can you loud? I had a question about, and thank you very much for the presentation, but I had a question about how do we update the information, and would you be sending SMS to non-Ugandan numbers? And is there a way for me, if my number changes, I'm able to go into the system and update so that I can get any activity that's going on with my land?
Anybody else?
Thank you all. My name is Wale. I'm a Nigerian, but I'm also a Ugandan. After 30 years of partnership with the Ugandans, I think half of my network is now based in Uganda. And I hear you all saying a foreigner cannot own land. My children are Americans. What happened when their mother died? And you are saying they are foreigners and they cannot own land. Can they no longer own what used to be their mothers? How is Uganda dealing with that? Thank you.
Anybody else? Yes.
No, they're going to ask a lot of questions. Hopefully they're recording those questions.
My question and my concern is about city council. Nowadays, they're really harassing our people. They want every part of the land to be developed. Where can really somebody get money to develop each and every area? If you leave a little area, they say, thieves are gonna come and start doing activities here. This must be developed. They're kicking people off of the land and saying they want to develop the land for the people so that they can install markets there. How is the government gonna handle this?
Thank you.
Thank you. I want to talk about, to suggest something about the amendment. I think you should leave the law the way it is. Leave the amendment alone. That amendment is going to cause more confusion. It is very difficult to negotiate with the government when you're a private person. So the way the law is, leave it like that. There is no urgency. What's the problem? What are you not doing? What are you not achieving under the law as it is now? Thank you.
Anybody else?
In the back. I think you answer these questions, then we have another round.
You're very welcome. My name is Julian Chifundu. My name is Julian Chifundu. I thank you for the project of making sure that all land titles are digitalized. But I have a question. As we see and hear in the news, most of the titles are fake titles. What are you going to do about those fake titles that are already digitalized? Thank you.
I think I will turn it to the minister to answer some of the questions.
I think Actually, if she answered some of these questions,
Okay.
we might find that other questions are already answered in the process.
All right.
Yeah. Thank you. Let me start with the already fake titles in the system. The problem is, us we will not know which is a fake title. Because the people who also, because the titling process, really, like I said, starts its generation, its root from sub-county, district, survey and mapping, and by the time it reaches Kampala for the registration, at the time when we did not have the digital system, then it would be issued without you knowing. Sometimes it would overlap. Sometimes you find part of the survey is partly on top of another. So what we are doing now is that those that have already been digitalized will automatically reject any new titles that will come in. Now, if the one which is digitalized is the one which is fake, the law is very clear. You, as a person who have all the evidence that that land is yours, can petition the ministry, the Commission of Land Registration, and Section 91 of the Land Act permits the Commissioner Land Registration to cancel any title that has been fraudulently obtained, that has been obtained in error, that has been obtained illegally, that has been obtained due to misrepresentation of facts. So we are now there. We have cancelled many titles, and once we cancel, then the other one is removed from the system, and the correct one reinstated in the system. So that is what I now is the only thing is most people also find it very difficult to know where to go. So we are now trying to work with the district, the RDC, the LC5, the MPs to let people know that the digitalization is important. If you have a title, please come and anchor it in the system, because somebody can easily anchor a title which is fake, so that we clean up the system. So that is what we are doing. The amendment, we leave the law as it is. Actually, to me, if we were all trustworthy, there would be no need for this amendment. But this amendment, if the law was being followed the way it is, majority of the ordinary Ugandans, usually when we go and conduct our assessment and determine a value, people who will contest the value are not people who are living in that area. Now, we are faced with a big challenge, a challenge of the cartel, who know that government has planned for 22 industrial areas, and they know all the 22 industrial area. They will go to the sub-county, and they go to the sub-county, they will know where exactly in the district it will be. They will go and buy land from the local people around there at the market value. And when government comes now to determine the market value, these are the people who are contesting. I experienced it in Karoma hydropower, because that is my constituency. In Karoma hydropower dam, I had around 377 people who were supposed to be compensated, out of which were about 11 people who had speculated, came and bought the land, and were waiting for government valuation. The rest of the people contested the value that were determined by the district land board, because I told you, for us we determine land as national level. Then crops, your matoke, your what is determined by the district. So the people I represented, majority, said the district had attached too little money on their crops. And we revised the figure, and they accepted. They ended up being paid 2.5 million per acre of land in the area. But then, 3 people, like these 3, who were based in Kampala, work in Kampala, investors, they went, and one of them said he went very quickly after buying the land and put foundation for what he was calling a tourist attraction. And he said with that, he wants 2.3 billion per acre. Then, yes, because of the foundation he had laid. Then somebody said, who had land up to the rock, and said the rock is meant for traditional
Healing.
Yes, traditional healing, this and that. So under the law, there is supposed to be resettlement. So if he has to do that, they need to look at the aspect of his rock and what the rock, the spirituality of the rock. And was asking for about 2.7 for the rock. Billion for the rock. Now, that is just one of them. Now, what did we do? Good enough, the work of Karoma hydropower was so vast, government decided to compensate the majority, leave these 3 and start their work. But one of them, good enough, realizing that it wasn't working because he was a judge, he accepted the money and went to court.
You have made it worse. He was a judge.
He is still.
I thought it should be worse. So,
he went to court, but afterwards he negotiated with government out of court. But this particular person who went of the rock and the foundation, up to now the matter is in court. And he died. He died before. Now it's the children following up the matter. No, he died by natural death. Maybe the rocks became unhappy. I don't know. Now, I've given you another. People hear about Katosi-Katonya Road. I'm giving you one example on that road. Another example on that road is a World Bank road. World Bank gave money, they started working on it.
Can we listen, please?
When they reached a certain portion, the guy said, I agree with the value for the money, for the land, but the grave of my mother over my dead body, I can't remove the grave. This one, the World Bank has already, the World Bank system, once the design is done, blah, what. They tried everything possible. He rejected the money. He rejected everything. So, now we came back to say, should we redesign the road or not? You can't redesign. If you are to redesign, it will take many time. So at the end of it, of course, government just relocated the grave and paid him. Oh, I know. Now, the last example I'm giving you is the famous one, which is supposed to decongest Entebbe Airport Road, the Entebbe Express Highway Road. That is a road that people got compensation actually beyond the value of the land. Everybody who got it. The assessment was something nobody could contest. But I am telling you, trust, if we were all for government and for doing things the right way, this law would not be necessary. But it reached somewhere, again, where somebody said, this is my rock, because it was supposed to to move half of the rock, and that rock was in somebody's land. The person asked for 37 billion. 37 billion. They offered him 4 billion. He refused. He refused until government decided to now just corner and leave the rock. With the 4 billion, they cornered, left the rock, and then had to continue. But what did it do? It delayed the time for the contractor for about 6 months, negotiating with one person. And under the law, when you sign a contract with a contractor, idle time is charged. So at the moment we have made assessment as government, we have found that due to some of these delays, and it is not many people, it's 10%, 5% in most cases, the idle time charged on a contractor, it now stands at 27 billion US dollars. Over the 5 years, government paying idle time because somebody has refused, others have accepted, but a few have refused. So that's why we are saying the law already says under 2026 that land will still go to government. So why don't we pay you what everybody has accepted? And we continue with this negotiation. If we fail, you go to court. That is all we are saying. Otherwise, delivering a public good is becoming a menace in Uganda. If all of them were as good as it is, and somebody has said, as we in the diaspora. So that's the rationale. But also on the issue of titles, finding out fake titles or not, we have also started what we call open days. We announce, we go to a district, we set up the way we have set up, but that setup is small. We set up, maybe stage it for 3 days for people to come and check their title. And we are doing mostly in Uganda because the fraud mostly is in the central. Because of course people who sit in the center, people who are in the city are more, they are more initiative, they have more initiative. I don't want to use the other word. They are more knowledgeable. The last question, no, I think the other one you will answer, the city council. The one of associating with a Ugandan for 30 years, 33 years, I don't think it's association. Yes, because God says you become one, not so.
Legally certified cohabitation.
These people are so interested. Now they are even telling me it's cohabitation. Okay, whatever it is. Yes. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. So now this group is going to clarify for you, but at the moment with the dual citizenship, which we have not yet operationalized into parliamentary law because it's in the constitution, but under the law, when something is in the constitution, there should be a legal framework for operationalizing it. So once it is operationalized, which I'm sure they are working on it, they will answer when they intend to bring the law to parliament. Then the issue of your children being foreigners will no longer subside. I told you I'm in the same dilemma with you, so I will protect your interests.
Are you still answering?
No. KCC, maybe the PS can talk about it. She has nothing to do with that.
Then I will introduce eviction. KCCA, the lady was so the lady was so passionate about the eviction. What I can say is that I'll go back and consult the authority. We were supposed to be here with ED. She was also in the meeting, but she had another commitment back at home. And she went. We are aware of what you're talking about. We'll respond.
Thank you.
Please.
There's something on SMS.
SMS.
Okay.
Updating.
Updating. You have to do that way.
Yes. Regarding the SMS alert service, the information which we shall have all of the time will be information which you provide to us, because you need to get the SM alert to the phone you most use. Yeah. So it will be that information we need. Yeah.
International.
Yeah, including international, yes.
Updating. If you change number.
Is it possible to add an email as well or no?
At the moment, I think we are capturing that detail as well now. Yes.
Okay, thank you very much, Minister. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for your questions. I would like to recognize the former president of UNA and your beautiful wife, and congratulations on the wedding. Please stand up for. So at this juncture, you know, the Minister of Lands, she was gracious enough with her team to make time for us. Now that she has presented, you have an embassy here. Any leftover questions, please forward them. We shall also relay them to her and her team. So, Honorable Minister, the Minister has asked if she can go and attend to other issues. Yes. I would like to, on behalf of my LC here, to thank you very much.
We still want it. You are just enjoying her, just getting to know her.
Public demand, Honorable Minister. So, yeah. The books. Okay, the books will be given to the representative of UNA here. Mr. Seman, would you like to step forward and receive the books? See, this is government, a lot of protocol.
But now the embassy is to give one.
Yeah.
First to give one. So I am happy to meet you, and I hope to come to UNA and discuss much more. On behalf of the ministry, I will have this for further consultation.
This is for the
At this point, before the minister leaves, I would like to remind you that you have promised. The minister would like to remind you that you have promised to be there in Miami at the UNA annual convention, because then you're going to have like 10 times the group that you have here. We trust that you will pass on the information, but if the minister is there with her team, then word gets out to more people. Thank you very much. At this point, I would like to invite the PS of immigration. We hadn't talked about immigration issues, Mr. PS. A lot of questions. I'm surprised that the ones on land ended so quickly. But actually, at the embassy, we are challenged on many issues, but particularly on land and citizenship, visa, passports. These are the issues. So, as the minister eases out, I'd like to introduce the PS.
Thank you.
Okay.
Now I've run it. But I think you have it run away.
What year? You told me.
77.
Yes, that is Warsaw.
We are still here. We are
He's
just
in Bank of Uganda. We just retired from Bank of
You
Uganda.
resemble a lot.
It's okay.
I was looking. I
It's true, he was in Bangkok.
We are protecting your land.
You know, the Honorable Minister of Lands has just left us. Your Excellency, the Ambassador,